in the night, your heart fills with dread. Probably a murderer who wants you dead. It could be a ghost, a demon, or worse. Perhaps you're the victim of a witch's curse. It's hopeless, you're doomed. You'd call a priest if you could. You'd rather just listen to who? Sinisterhood. Hello and welcome to another edition of Freaky Friday. It is Friday, November 3rd, the first Friday in November, and holy shit, I cannot believe the year has gone by this quickly.
Oh my gosh. It's gonna be Christmas before we know it, and then a brand new year.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, I'll do something in maybe 6 months, or not 6 months. I was like, maybe I'll do something in 6 weeks, 2 months. And I was like, well, that's 2024. So great. All the things I've been putting off, it's all coming to fruition here.
Time flies and is also, does it? Who's to say?
Who's to say?
How do we know how to measure it, any of it?
We're all in a flat circle.
I've gone down this rabbit hole lately of people that have had, I don't believe we call them near-death experiences anymore. I think they refer to them as something else, perhaps, Mal?
Yes.
Perhaps now. But they all describe when it happens that their whole life and every decision they've made like flashes before them, and it's so fast. And I've even heard some go into like more description where like someone was showing them things, but everybody says like the amount of time that really this is so small compared to the grand scope of things. It just blows my mind. I can't I know I harp on it a lot. If I read reviews, there's probably a lot of reviews telling me to stop talking about it. Good thing I don't read them.
She makes me dread my existence every time she talks about time. One time Paris was like, this whole room, this was our living room area, so it's probably like 14 by 12. He's like, if you took a string end to end and that was all of existence, we're only like the last little tiny end on the other part. And I was like, why'd you have to tell me that? I wasn't even thinking about that. But you're right on the brain opening. I read an article one time, it was late at night and I was just out on the porch reading news, like the Apple News aggregator. I was like, oh, I'm going to, today, Dr. Dowdy, my chiropractor, goes, you're turning into kind of an old lady. I go, I just went and sat at the lake. I looked at the pelicans yesterday. She's like, what? So I was like, I sat on my porch. I was like, I'm going to read the news. I'm going to see. So a few weeks ago, about 2 or 3 months ago, and I read that whole thing about Science Magazine. They were talking about the impact or what happens in a human brain when you die and then are revived. But they said they can study if they put the nodes on the head while somebody is coding, they can kind of get brainwave activity and these certain doorways in your mind that normally hold the thoughts, memories, whatever in, so you don't, lose it all the time thinking about everything. They open, and whenever you're in an active dying situation, and then when you stop, your brain's like, oh, nope, cram it all back in there, and it stuffs it all back.
But you can't unring that bell.
No. And I've gotten to I think I was on the show YouTube, which explains it. It was some fella, an interview with him, and he was a firefighter, and he was like, I'll tell you exactly what happened. And he was like, I was sucked up into star beams, and I saw every memory or whatever. And he, in plain language, and just was like, I don't know what happened or how to explain it, but that's what happened. That's my experience. And I'm like, that's always scarier to me when someone's like, I'm not swearing to you that I saw the other side, but I'm telling you what I saw. And I'm like, that was the other side.
And most of the stories are very similar to that one.
Yeah.
With maybe a little differences here and there, but yeah, that you basically see everything that's ever happened in your life, and on a finite or on a scale of like time, it would be so small compared to everything else. But to us, rightfully so, it feels like everything because this is all we know.
Right. Every second matters. And it does. And then in some ways it doesn't. But you see time tick away. It's already November. That means Halloween's over.
Yeah.
I want you to tell everyone what your family costume was for Halloween, because it was amazing and fantastic.
Thank you so much. We were all deep cut characters. I say deep cut. I mean, if you're familiar with it, the Stephen King novel, not the movie, because I don't think any of these characters. No,
you are.
Mrs. Kirsch was in the second It, yes, but we were all like lesser known characters from It. So Ella was Maturin, which is the turtle that of enormous girth. Upon his back, he holds the earth. And then Simon was the spider, which is also a version Pennywise can turn, that it can turn into. It is the supernatural creature that takes the form of various things. We all refer to it as Pennywise because that's the most like recognizable one, but really that's just a form that it takes. It is also an alien spider. It is also Mrs. Kirsch, which was what I was. And it also possesses the Paul Bunyan statue in Maine, which goes on a spree about town. And that's what Tommy was. So
yeah,
you can go to my Instagram to see all of those fun costumes. The earth on Ella's back only lasted for a short time. It was too heavy with the costume. So trick-or-treating, people would be like, what are you, a turtle? And she's like, yeah. And then Simon was a spider. So really it just looked like it was a turtle and a spider going to everybody's door, but we knew the backstory.
An elf in Paul Bunyan. Cause he looked, by the way, all of y'all looked perfect, spot on. And as Paul Bunyan, he looks exactly like the statue. I've seen that statue in person in Bangor, and it does wear green tights. However, out of context,
he looked a bit like an elf, and
elfish.
He and Ella went to a Halloween party from one of her classmates, and one of the kids was like, What are you? An elf? And Tommy said, no, I'm Paul Bunyan from Stephen King's It. As if this child would be like, oh, okay. That was my second guess. I was assuming that that's what you were. And he just goes, oh, well, you look like an elf. And I was thinking if you were an elf, that's the wrong holiday. To which I said, yes, you are correct, tiny child. But he did look spot on to the Paul Bunyan statue. Yeah, it was a fun one.
It's a good one. I went trick-or-treating with my nieces. They were from the Descendants. I wore the corn skull outfit that I had worn for our live stream, minus the skull, because I didn't want to traumatize them. So I was just corn, which they were like, corn, which is great that they were
corn. Has been so viral this year.
So viral.
I mean, maybe the most viral TikTok. It's got the juice. So I think that you nailed it. Corn or corn skull, both costumes, A+.
A+. So it was super fun to go trick-or-treating with them. But we didn't see anything super out of the ordinary exciting. And then I'm like texting you like, hey, how's trick-or-treating going? And I get a response, and it's just a picture of a fire truck in front of your house.
3 of them.
Okay.
3 of them. One of the very first trick-or-treaters that came to the door, one of their parents said to Tommy, hey, it kind of smells like gas out here. And we didn't smell it, I thought, because I had just sprayed my hair with so much white paint to make me old that I was like, and it smelled so bad. I said, do you think it's the hairspray? And Tommy was like, no, you can't smell that all the way outside.
I don't think a neighbor's going to be like, hey, we've noticed some odors coming from your bathroom.
If it is, it's not the gas. I promise you that.
Different kind. Yeah.
But he called Atmos, because if you ever think you smell natural gas, call the gas company.
Yes.
Because
don't delay.
No, don't delay. And I know, and I've been there too. We're all like, oh, I'm sure it's nothing. But in the event it's something, it's going to be a big something. So it's always better to be safe than sorry. Mm-hmm. So we called them and gave our address and everything. We couldn't really smell it or whatever. We leave to go trick-or-treating, and they were like, okay, we'll call you back if we need you. Well, about 45 minutes later in the neighborhood, I hear all these sirens, and I said to myself, they're going to, because when you hear the sirens and then an abrupt stop, and you're like, that was close. And we just happened to turn our corner, and I was like, oh my God. And the street was lined with first responders. So Tommy went over there, and a bunch of our neighbors were out. And
I'm sure because of the fire trucks and sirens.
That
in
also
to Halloween.
But also our neighbor across the street had also smelled gas in her garage. So we thought it was in her garage. Turns out someone in the alley behind her house had run over the gas line, and gas was just leaking. So they shut it all off, thankfully. But everybody was like, thank you for calling. Tommy was the only person that had called.
Paul Bunyan's a hero. He's standing tall with his axe on his shoulder, like
fully in costume, having a conversation with many firemen. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like a fever dream. I'm like, I look like this crazed old woman. And I'm like, can we go back inside? Is that fine? They're like, yeah. And everyone's we were the only ones in costumes. Yeah, all the other neighbors were dressed normal.
The parents were dressed up. To clarify too, Tommy is fully Paul Bunyan, and Mrs. Kirsch, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, you did like stage makeup to make yourself look elderly, probably 30, 40 years older, with like real deep wrinkles, and then you had sprayed your hair all gray, but it was clearly, you're dressed up, but it was good. So from far off, they might have thought,
oh man, she should go to bed. That older woman should really go to bed.
I'm here with her teacup looking for it.
My teacup that I got from my children's play kitchen.
Oh,
I was like, I need a teacup. Ella was like, I know. And I was like, you're right. And Ella really humbled me when I was doing my stage makeup. I hadn't started it yet. And she walked in and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to do makeup to make myself look like an old woman. And she was just started staring at me. I go, what are you doing? She goes, I'm looking at your old woman face. I was like, right. Well, I hadn't started the makeup yet. This is just my face, how I look every day.
Ouch.
So, but I will say it's easier to do that makeup when you can just follow all the wrinkles you already have. It makes it much easier.
When you're a teen, you're like, I guess I'll draw them on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, don't worry, kids. Someday you'll find them. It's like a treasure map.
Yeah. Oh, I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and they were all much younger, but they said, just use your natural face wrinkles.
You just scrunch up.
Yeah. One of the girls said, you're going to make a ton of weird faces doing this because the more expressions you do, the more different wrinkles come out. And then it was all very interesting and accurate.
Makeup stuff impresses the shit out of me. I cannot do it, but I find it very impressive.
Oh man. Our friend Amy, who is also one of our babysitters, does the most incredible makeup. I don't understand how she's not like extremely famous from doing makeup. I'm going to give everybody her Instagram because she's so incredible. It is at Dreamy Louise. Go follow her. Her makeup skills are off the charts.
Incredible. Like I said, it's a whole other art form. I mean, it's like a mixture of paint and then other stuff too. I mean, she's great. Well, one last thing before we get to our interview. Are we going to share what happened to us the other night?
I'm still traumatized by this.
If you're not ready to talk about it,
I can talk about it.
We do need to give a bit of a warning.
Perhaps it will help me heal. But yes, I don't even know what the warning is.
A varmint was defeated
by my dog
and your husband.
And my husband.
It was a living varmint, which is important to understand the context, therefore.
Yeah, and this all happened within a 10-foot radius of where you and I were trying to enjoy ourselves.
We were just talking, and then out of nowhere, we were on your back porch. In fact, I think we were talking about stuff for the show, of planning what we were going to cover and things like that. We were having a real business meeting, as it were. And then we just heard some rustling, not too far, maybe about 10, 12 feet away from us. And it's an area with dirt in it that's a planter is sitting on top of it. And your dog, Kate, who is a pit bull mix, white on the head, she kind of to me looks like the dog from the Sandlot, like kind of like you're good. That's your dog next door. She's over there looking. And then in a second, it all happens at once. She dives, knocks the potted plant asunder. It's gone. Dirt's flying, and then she's struggling, and then we begin to hear the squeaks.
Oh, the squeaks.
Like a dog toy that we're getting a little bit
more. But
it
just kept happening over and over and over.
And a little bit more upsetting. To her credit, she didn't seem like she just seemed like she caught something, like she should. And that's when you started to yell, babe.
I couldn't even look to that. I still don't know exactly because we have learned when anything happens that involves critters, I freeze. Heather has seen this many times, and she has to come to my rescue if there's like a water bug or any kind of anything flying at me or skittering,
creatures,
it's not fight or flight. I just freeze.
Mm-hmm.
And I was literally paralyzed with fear, and Tommy was editing and he can hear us through the door. So I'm just screaming, babe, babe. And you're going, there's an emergency. And I had my hands over my face, so I couldn't see what was happening, but you saw it all.
And so in pretty quick order, Tommy, like a hero, bursts through the door and is like, what's the problem? But it was pretty apparent pretty quickly as he turns and looks. And again, Kate, being a good dog, had caught the varmint, was sitting, awaiting further instruction. And then
the varmint was not deceased. It was
struggling.
And loudly. Tommy had to make a humane decision.
And so she drops it, and like a good dog, because she sees her owner come. And so she like looks up, drops it. He looks at her. And then again, the screams and the squeals are horrifying. And I later said, if it had been me, I would have gotten a bucket to drown it. And you said that was the act of a serial killer. And I said, now that you say it, taking the time to go inside and fill a bucket, like how long that would take.
And buckets also, you got to carry like a heavy bucket of water, and then you got to also pick it up. It seemed like it was going to be too involved for me.
There was a nearby object, and Tommy dispensed with the issue pretty quickly in one fell swoop, as humanely and as kindly as one could do in this scenario, given what had happened. But this whole entire time, I just have to reiterate that you were in a really uncomfortable position, not moving. Your left leg was extended out. You were seated, and your two arms were above your head in a circular position, facing away from me, and your other leg was kind of underneath you. But you remained stretched out for the duration, and you kept going, I can't. I don't know what's over there. I can't. I'm not even going to look. And I just said, and
I was just looking at your face, and you were like, oh. And then you just pulled your hoodie up over your face. I was like, and then the squeals stopped. And
it was given a respectful burial at Target Bag, as you know, like I said, everything you can do in the situation where you're like, it all happened so quickly that I said, you go, what did we just do? And I'm like, I don't think we were going to take it to the vet. I don't even think if you could, I don't think it would.
No.
I think that might be like, oh no, that carries the bubonic plague. Please do not bring that here.
No, yeah, they're like, what? This is just something that happens. And I was like, we've been trying to catch one. We've known there has been one in the backyard. It is very stressful for me because I have a phobia of them. So we've taken measures, and I said, Tommy, do you think that was the one? And he goes, well, I mean, there's probably others. And I was like, why are you doing?
You don't got to say it like that. He's like, they don't live alone. They don't live on their own.
I'm frozen with fear. Yeah. I couldn't move. It really is quite alarming because I like to think if I get in a situation where I got to defend myself that I wouldn't just freeze up. But now I'm starting to question if that would be the case.
I was going to say, when you say you have a phobia, you're not exaggerating for the air to be funny. Like, I am your friend and I've watched you have a visceral physical reaction when varmints are abound, like whether it's a bug or something, that thing has been. Anyway, we just sat there in just full disbelief of like, what just happened on Halloween night?
She went trick-or-treating and she got herself something, but you know what? She did what we wanted it gone. So hopefully that it's gone. And I'm glad that I have a partner that is not like me and that came out and saw a situation that needed to be handled and handled it without thinking twice about it.
We didn't need to tell you all this again, but the point of this is that Tommy Brown always was, and shall remain unflappable, because there was just like, all right, this is what we got to do.
He just came out. He was like, what's wrong? And I'm like, Kate just killed something, or Kate's attacked something. It's over there. Da, 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 da. And then moments later, silence.
May we all be as unflappable as Paul Bunyan / the unflappable.
Tommy Brown. Yeah. In one night, he saved a neighborhood from a gas explosion. Hundreds of children could have just gone up in flames.
A Halloween trick-or-treating nightmare was avoided. Because of his quick thinking.
On two separate occasions.
Yeah.
The out front and out back. That's how he rolls. In the front outback. And in the back.
Hey!
In the outback.
In the outback.
Speaking of the outback, then we watched a wild documentary that I think we might actually cover the story because it is so bananas.
What a Halloween night
it was
had.
Quite a Halloween. I have not had a Halloween with that much excitement maybe ever. And I went to Tech and UNT. I went to some party schools, and still, I don't think anything's topped that one.
Not at all. That was incredible. Sinisterhood will be right back.
It's getting colder now. Ooh, we all love a cup of hot cocoa. What's better than just a cup of hot cocoa? One that also relaxes you and helps you drift off into sleep.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get all jacked up right before I go to bed. I like a nice hot glass of something all cozy in my PJs, curled up with my book, and take it. And that's where the Beam Dream Powder comes in.
Beam's Dream Powder is a healthy hot cocoa for sleep. You just mix it into hot water or milk, stir or froth, and just sip away before bedtime.
Dream contains a powerful all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, melatonin, and nano CBD to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. And that frother is a game changer. I use Beam frother daily, and I like it because you worry about a powder. It's going to get chunky, whatever. First of all, it won't, even if you just stir it. That's the Beam's. I like it. I like the ground of it because sometimes
the granule consistency is very nice. Yes.
It's choice. But then when you froth it, I was like, I feel like I'm getting a late night treat, and it's just me. So I don't have to worry about a barista or asking somebody to do it for me. It's just an easy and then it tastes like cinnamony cocoa. I love it.
Tommy and I both love it. And a lot of times you can take something to help you sleep and you wake up and you feel like groggy and out of it. With this, you're just like, oh, I just had a very restful sleep. I am awake and refreshed and can start my day.
It's a game changer. I said, my mom goes, how are you doing today? I said, I'm good. It's almost like if you get a good night's sleep, you're in a good mood. She was like, yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's wild how much sleep really affects us, isn't it? Well, today, our listeners get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, their best-selling healthy hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. Now available in delicious flavors like sea salt caramel, cinnamon cocoa, and chocolate peanut butter. Better sleep has never tasted better.
A recent clinical study revealed Dream helped 93% of users wake up feeling more refreshed, and 93% reported that Dream helped them getting more restful night's sleep.
If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, take advantage of their biggest sale of the year and get up to 50% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Sinisterhood and use code CYBER at checkout. That's shopbeam, BEAM.com/Sinisterhood and use code CYBER, CYBER, for up to 50% off.
What an introduction we've given to these two lovely guests today.
Oh, man. Well, if anything, we had an incredible story to tell. So did these two ladies.
Two incredible stories.
A delight they were to speak to. We say all the time, we love doing these because we can just tell right off the bat when we're going to hit it off with people. And I feel like we have known Jessica and Elyse for years.
Right?
We immediately were like, we could all just go to dinner and have no pauses in conversation, just talk and get along. They were great.
It's amazing when you find super smart, super funny, cool as fuck women. And that is who we're talking about. The hosts of 30 Morbid Minutes, the podcast that brings you morbid, creepy topics, people, places, and events, all pulled from the history and the headlines of today. They cover stuff that we would be interested in, and also they go beyond stuff we would ever even cover on the show. And we talk a little bit about it in the interview, so you'll hear all about that. And then they're going to tell two stories. One of them involves the Magic Castle, which I haven't stopped thinking about planning our trip.
I've told you, I've said before, it's a bucket list item for me to go to the Magic Castle, and you have to be invited by a magician member. And so a magimber, And we might have an end now, but Elyse has been several times, and I was like, tell me everything. And man, does she have a good story.
I don't have to tell all of you how great Elyse and Jess are because you're going to hear it, but the fucking confidence with which she's like, I know several magicians. It's one of the best sentences I've ever heard in my life.
And I said, we don't know enough magicians. We got to get more magicians on our roster. And
we also recorded this before we did our first paranormal investigation. And yet somehow, even after hearing Jessica's story, we still went about talking about a investigation she was on where someone suffered some pretty gross, I don't know, an attack or something. I don't know what it was.
Something happened.
Something eerie, but y'all are going to love it.
Unexplainable. Oh yeah. There's so much fun. And we had a ton of fun. So I think you all will have a ton of fun listening to. A lot of laughs and just like creepy, spooky, good information too. Their podcast is great because it's 30 minutes. It's easy. Like that's a commute for a lot of people, but they dive a lot into, like you said, the history of stuff that's very fascinating, stuff that I would have never known if not for like someone taking the time to break it down and give it to me in like a format I enjoy to listen to.
Right. A very pleasant one too. And if you like listening, you'll also love watching, especially too. Sometimes we're like, well, whose voice is who? So head over to our YouTube channel at Sinisterhood Podcast and you can watch the full video version. It's up now. So enjoy that and enjoy 30 Morbid Minutes. Hello and welcome to another edition of Freaky Friday guest segments. We are so overjoyed today to be joined with Jess and Elyse from 30 Morbid Minutes.
Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much for being here. We were listening to you both last night as we sat out on my patio. Mm-hmm. We were like, they have such nice voices.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. Jessica has a beautiful voice.
Oh, you do too.
No.
Yeah. Beautiful
There's
voice.
A reason Jessica like, always says the opening.
The most beautiful voice.
Give us a few lines, Jess.
No, Elyse, you have, so I can get really shrill and screechy, and then Elyse brings it down to like earth, and she's like,
it's your God-given right to
shrill. What?
We all can get a little shrieky. So, yeah, every day I get a little shrieky.
What were you listening to? Which episode?
We actually turned on the Titanic conspiracy.
Yes, yes, where you had to give, because we were like,
intro.
This is something that would happen to us. And in fact, I believe we did record something in advance, and then we had to go back and be like, hey, everybody, we didn't know what was going on in the world when this was coming out.
We recorded the movie curse, and then the
That's
Rust
what it was.
incident happened. The cursed movie sets, and it was just not great timing to release that. So we held the episode for a week or two to be like, this is, but it wasn't anything. You guys didn't say like, oh, we're going to record these Titanic mysteries because the submersible is missing. It was like months before.
Yeah. The Ocean Gate happened as our planned Titanic conspiracy episode was scheduled. And so we were like, people are going to think that we were trying to capitalize on this. We weren't. It just coincidentally timed out that way.
Yeah.
We
gave a great like disclaimer at the beginning of that, which we have had to do. Yeah. But it's interesting because you kind of like see how the sausage is made in those moments where you're like, some of this stuff is scheduled like weeks out and we don't have control over what happens. So you kind of just got to go with the flow.
Yeah. Every time. Well, you said earlier you think we got a lot in common. I think we do too, because y'all are friends. You were friends before the podcast, sketch comedy buddies, and you started this kind of, y'all both have other positions at Rooster Teeth, right? And you have this podcast as like a fun thing that you do, and it's taken off now and everybody loves it. That's kind of what happened to us. We're just buddies from improv that did a show.
I think that's the best way it works, because if you just like put people together that like don't have natural chemistry, it's going to show. And it's not going to be a good,
I wanted this to be like a Backstreet Boys-esque manufactured podcast. Like that's my dream. My dream is to be part of some kind of manufactured product like that. But unfortunately, our bond was just too strong. And it kind of came to a place
bring three more on. Heather, fun fact, used to write Backstreet Boys fan fiction when she was a teen. So
big fan.
Wow.
Now we have even more in common than
have
we did.
Have you ever read it on this podcast? And
she can't find it.
I'm desperate to find it. I think somewhere I need to go dig through my mom's office, because somewhere there's like a bunch of like old 3.5-inch floppies, and I know it's on there, but I don't know how to get data from those. And I know also like almost all of them, except the one with the fanfic, is filled with like weird 3D renderings of South Park characters, which I was also very into for a while, and filled the hard drives with. My mom was just always buying these discs because I was like weird and I wouldn't delete things.
Oh my God.
You push the little tab on the disc so it's locked. No one can write over it.
They're all locked.
It can't be done.
Would you say you were a digital hoarder?
Yes. I am still, honestly. I have so many like hard drives full of stuff. I'm like, my precious, don't delete my things. But I will find that fanfic. I found that outline for it. It involved all of us living in a home together in Florida. And at some point I contracted encephalitis from a mosquito bite. And
you all retired together.
Not even sure that you can do that, but it happened in the story.
Was not addressed, but the cast of characters was me and all my friends from 6th grade, and the Backstreet Boys the age that they were at the time, which was in the 20s. So there was no funny business. We were just all living in a house together, which in retrospect is horrible.
A bunch of 20-year-old men living with a bunch of 16-year-old girls just having platonic, wholesome fun.
They were there when I had encephalitis. I don't give a fuck what you guys say.
They were nursing you back to health.
They were there for you. Yeah,
they were. Oh man, much like you guys have been there for each other. I want to know about your comedy background.
What a segue!
What a segue!
What a segue!
We'll see these kind of segues in the fan fiction.
Yes.
Yes. This isn't her first rodeo. She's been doing this since she was 12 years old.
This is incredible.
That's incredible.
Weird.
I felt compressed, much like the cold compress that AJ went to go apply to my forehead.
They were at my bedside. I remember being like, where can I learn more about encephalitis? Mom was like, what? And this was like, there wasn't really Google. And she's like, you can look on Encarta 95, which was the CD-ROM. And it didn't have enough information. She's like, go get the encyclopedia. So I was learning.
Oh, man. We're all dating ourselves so much.
The accent too. Go get the encyclopedia. I love it.
Oh yes, Nancy has got an accent. She's
Heather. Go get the encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Look
her name's Nancy.
She's amazing.
I love it.
She's great. Oh yeah, she's great.
Oh yeah,
great.
Well, so how did y'all start your comedy background?
Elyse has like a professional comedy background. I've just done like improv in classes and stuff, and I'm just an overall unhinged person. But Elyse has like actual.
So we do have stuff in common.
Unlike Jessica, I'm very hinged, and I actually started just in the game industry, the video game industry, not making games, but more of a media entertainment side, commentating side, and sort of transitioned that into making comedy about video games, and have branched out from there. Jess and I worked on a sketch series together. We have done countless other shows, like live action comedy shows together, game shows and things like that. We did our own version of the like 10 people get locked into a room for 6 hours and can't laugh show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's fun. I love game shows. My dream is to be on one.
Really?
Yeah. So you're living my dream.
Are you all saying we could make our own game show and like the only thing that's stopping us is us?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. Because you guys are comedians and stuff, like the whole point of the game was to try and make other people laugh, but you can't laugh. So it was a nightmare. Well, full of funny people. It was just a nightmare.
A couple people told me that they cried in the shower after the experience because it was such a breaking experience.
It was
mailed it in.
So much is pent up that it's just like a flood of emotions once you're allowed to release it.
Garden hose with your thumb over the end of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Spews out of you.
Because you're being punished for laughing. Like you're being bad. Or like, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Like it was not good for my brain. Yeah. But it was fun.
So don't do that one is what you're saying. Maybe we pick a different format for our game show.
Got a different one. We have an idea for a game show. We need a lot of money for it.
Yeah, we need a lot of money for our game show. It's called We'll Give You $50,000. And if you can prove to us that you can do something really crazy and niche and bizarre, but do it really, really well, we'll give you $50,000.
Interesting.
But we need the capital.
It's like, when they slam the button. We just need like NBC Universal to sponsor us or somebody that can just give us the money to give to them because we don't have that.
We'll give you $50,000. That was the name of it.
Well, I'll give you $50,000 because it's like when they hit the X and it's like you're going to Hollywood. It's like I'll give you 50 grand.
I'll give you 50 grand for that.
Yeah. And it could be anything. You're like,
I'm
hey, I
interested.
can walk on my hands, or I can make the perfect cocktail or whatever. If you do it enough to impress us, then we'll give you 50 grand.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
Would
only
you
the
two
money
ever
that holds us
appear
up.
on a game show as a team?
Oh,
would.
absolutely, I would.
That would be
Okay.
so fun.
Yeah.
I feel like we have to speak it out.
We
got
got to speak it out.
Yeah.
So, Amazing Race.
My dream is to be
Are
on
you
the show
listening?
Tattletales. It was in the 60s. It's not on anymore, but it
Okay,
was
well, we're going to have to time travel, but
we
we'll
need to do
figure
a
it out.
reboot. Reboot of
Oh,
Tattletales.
Tattletales reboot. Okay.
What
like-
was the premise?
it's
What's
kind
the
of like
details?
not honeymoon, one of like the newlywed game.
Oh, yeah.
But it was for already married celebrity couples. But I think it would be just as fun with podcast co-hosts. And one of them has on a muted headset and doesn't hear. And then the other half of the duo, so like it would be like Jess and Christy, and then me and Elyse would have headphones on and not hear. And a prompt would be given to Jess and Christy, and the prompt would be like, cheese explosion. And then one of you would have to use that to A to C think of a story that we've shared together that would make you think of something. And you buzz in, and then you tell the story. And then they bring me and Elyse out, and they'll be like, the prompt was cheese explosion. Who do you think rung in? And then if Christy had told some story about the two of us and I didn't remember it and ring in, and Elyse rings it, and then nobody gets a point. But
That's
I would
fun.
be like, oh, wait,
Oh,
I remember
wow.
that story. So it's like, do you remember stories? It's real fun to watch. So some of those celebrity
That's
spouses,
great.
like Ben Stiller's parents, totally in love. Sean Astin's
Oh, I
parents,
love them.
so cute, totally in love. But some of them, I was like, y'all don't even like each other. And then you look it up, and it was like they were divorced in 6 months or 6 months of marriage. I was like, good, they didn't just.
Yeah, because he didn't remember that story.
I think
That's
they-
fun. I like that.
That's a great, yeah.
We're doing it.
I'd watch that for sure. And
Y'all
now
are
I'm
gonna
trying
be
to
our
think
first-
of a
You're on it.
story.
You got to be on it too.
Yeah.
I would be like, Jess, remember that cheese explosion? We were part of like our
Yeah, remember when all of that cheese exploded over the city and rained down on everyone?
It's like we're
You're
doing
down.
like the
Chance of
Boston
Meatballs.
molasses flood as covered on 30 Morbid Minutes.
Hey,
Yes.
people have asked us to
Yes.
cover that, but look at that. Why wait for Sinisterhood to cover it? You already got an episode on it.
There you go.
That we have a lot of
30
crossover.
minutes too.
We did derail, and I want you, Jess, to tell you about her background, because she is an angel on earth. She's a
No.
brilliant
Oh.
actress too, which is something that she does not hype up enough about herself.
You're very
Look
sweet.
at this.
She's a brilliant
I know.
baby,
We
and I
have
love her.
we have a great relationship. We're very supportive of each other, which is awesome, because I wouldn't be able to do this with anyone else. No, I actually started off I wanted to be an actress, and then I had an internship right out of college with a very prominent director that made me like cry every other day, because I'm like, this is the industry. This
Spielberg.
sucks. So I switched gears to
Mhm.
behind the camera. And went the producer route, which still is in the industry and still is insane. But then I've been a
Don't cry every
producer.
day.
Yeah, I'm not crying as much every day. But yeah, so was a producer for a long time, but also had to get the creative out. And so I've done, yes, improv and acting classes. But one of the biggest things was, yes, working at Rooster Teeth on all of the shows that Elyse just mentioned. And she actually championed me for, because we did a short at Rooster Teeth where she thought I had one line, but I guess the line read was great. And Elyse was like, I want her
That's all
in
it
this
takes.
next show we're doing. So
She saw something
Yeah.
in you.
She
Like
knew.
she did.
all good directors do.
yeah,
She
Yeah.
recognized.
She's the best.
Well, I love how close y'all are, because Jess, you're in Austin, and Elyse, you're in LA, right? But you still, does the podcast help you maintain your friendship over all that far distance?
I think so, for sure.
I think so too.
Yes. Yeah.
I think
Yes.
so too.
Because whenever we get on, like we were doing here, is like we're just talking and like cackling about stuff before we enter. Like we were talking about our coffin birth episode. It's like if we're cackling right before, it's like we have to, okay, be serious. We're about to talk about coffin birth now. Like we can't be just like cackling
And I know what
and
you're
everything.
thinking. What's so funny about coffin birth?
Right.
What's so funny about coffin birth? What is coffin
What
birth?
is coffin? I
Is
don't
that
know.
what it sounds like?
You cough so
Yep.
hard the baby comes right out.
Well,
She gets
I
hit
thought
with a
you
coffin burst.
delivered a baby in a coffin.
It's
Well,
it's
at least-
posthumous birth. It's posthumous birth, but
Oh,
expelling a fetus
Oh.
after death, and it's very morbid. And I think the episode I regret the most, because we talked about this a little with Tommy, but we always try to straddle this line between not punching down, not joking about the victim, but joking about ourselves, joking about situations. If something happened 200 years ago, it's kind of fair game. We can kind of be a little bit lighthearted, have some laughs. But then there are episodes where we get on the other side and we look at each other and think, woof.
Yeah.
There was nothing that we could,
there was nothing funny about that. Yeah, we're the exact same way. We'll say often, like, this isn't going to be a funny episode. We just did a 3-parter on Jehovah's Witnesses, and not 1 second of it was funny. Well, no, that's not true. When we mocked Stephen Lett relentlessly and did that impression, that was funny.
It's like the one thing you can't do is just if people exist like that and ridiculous. I'm like, I'm just being accurate. That's actually just what he sounds like when I do an impression. But yeah, you're right when you're like, hey, this is we're going to set the tone for this one. And that's what I love about y'all's show, though, because you do have a nice script, so it stays on topic, but you do in between have a discussion and it really brings it home. And I like that you all did like a get to know you chat. That was a great episode too.
Thank you so much.
Folks could just kind of get to know who you were because your voices are so, I told Christy, I was like, damn, I feel soothed, but it is such like.
You sound similar too. And we hear that a lot too, that we sound similar. And to me, we don't, and probably to y'all, you don't, but other people are like, all I hear are 2 hicks. I don't really know which one's which.
Rude.
And I'm like, I don't even think I have an accent, but
I sure don't.
Apparently, I sure don't.
Great. That's great.
I sure don't.
I'm from Canada originally, so if you listen closely, you can hear Jess's Texas twang, and then me. Oh, sorry, we joked about the coffin bird.
Yeah, they can. Texans, I hear we get the shit kicked out of us a lot of times in the media, but Canadians are nice. Everybody should give y'all the benefit of the doubt if you've got that. I mean, how are they going to?
And you sound very neutral most of the time and very like pleasant. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you. Just like the sweet Canadian you are.
We're not allowed to accept compliments. Jess and I go back and forth about this a lot.
No, that's the thing you have.
Elyse is so bad at it. Like, I give her compliments often, and then she's like, no. And I'm like, if you say no to me one more time.
But you're the same way.
I am the same way. Yeah, so I should shut up.
Right. No. It's all those memes though where it's like everybody deserves everything and they're the most amazing except me, not me.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
No.
I'm terrible.
I want to compliment everyone. I'm like, I don't know about that. If you compliment, I don't know about all that. But have you all, you were going to share some freaky stories with us today. I'm sure in your line of work you have many things you've come across, places, stories you've heard, places you've been. So we would hear your freaky stories. Sinisterhood will be right back.
Yeah. Elyse, do you want me to go first or you want to go?
Yeah. Are you going to give a little bit of context and backstory kind of about your history with demonology and your...
Yeah. Yes.
Please.
Okay. Elyse is like, don't you forget to sell that part.
It's my favorite stuff.
Yeah. So this isn't the story I'm going to tell, but it is just like interesting, I guess, to have this context. So I was raised Catholic, but I am no longer practicing. I think I stopped around 13, 14. And then my family moved to a more Methodist church. It's one of those churches that it's like they have like a guitar and drums on stage versus like a choir and a priest. And but being raised in the Catholic Church, it's dark a little. It's very dark in a lot of ways. And I had to confess my sins to a priest and learn about demons a lot, Wow. And even though I don't practice anymore or don't believe in currently any religion as of right now, just for some reason, the darkness part of it sticks with me and the guilt, of course. But
oh yeah, that never leaves.
That never goes away.
Yep. And also just being a woman in general. But yeah. And so, in high school, I was introduced to the Ouija board and, I wasn't like against it in any way. I was just like, I'm just open. I'm a very open person in general, open to whatever the universe wants to give me or tell me, and, played with it and had some very, very unique experiences, but nothing to where like, I saw something, heard something. It was just like, this thing is moving and I'm not moving it. Neither is this other person. This is strange. And so I played with it for a few years. And that was during the time when I was having a lot of like sleep paralysis episodes of just real dark sleep paralysis. I think most people, when they have sleep paralysis, it happens to just be darkness or like dark figures. It's not like a happy experience. But so then I was told by somebody who considers herself a medium. I haven't talked to her in years, so I'm not sure if she still is or where that lies right now. But she was like, hey, don't play with the Ouija board anymore, because when you do that, you also open up all different kinds of things for anything to come in, such as like bad things. I was like, okay, noted. So I stopped playing with it. And then I saw the movie Paranormal Activity, and I was like, okay, never just opening this world again. Yeah, just not demon stuff. So
more for Ouija board sales
than anything else has, honestly.
We ran now because it's like can't come back from that.
The Exorcist too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I just was like, okay, this is not meant for, and I just wanted to get away from that, because I feel like when you're so open to it, there's ways you think about it more, and you're just surrounding yourself with more. I was like, this is not something I want in my life anymore. So I cut it off and haven't been back since. Although I did just watch that movie, Talk to Me, the other day. And so now it's like, okay. But
we watched it the other night too.
Ooh, yeah, it was the hand.
It's good. It's so brilliant in so many ways.
It was great.
So
good.
It
was very
good.
good.
It's my Halloween costume. I'm going to take this glove and I'm going to draw the symbols all over it. So I can like
great.
the people all night.
That's brilliant.
I love
That's
it.
a fun, like interact. I like an interactive costume that everyone will have a kick out of. That's fun.
And it's, it's like recent. I like it.
Yeah. Topical.
Yeah. So my scary story. So with all that in mind, and I wanted to remove myself from that, I just so happened to work on a ghost hunting show at my company, Rooster Teeth, called Haunter. And there were 2 seasons. I worked on the first season. And so I was a producer on it. So I went to all of the locations, and I was there during the nights and on the walkie-talkie listening to them find things or not find things. We as production, though, did not we made the agreement before going into this that we were not going to influence the show in any way. So if they found something, great. If they didn't, they better tell some funny jokes to make it entertaining. Most of the time they found nothing, but there was this one incident that happened at a sawmill in Louisiana where they were kind of instigating the ghosts, and they were saying some really interesting things to it, like not great things to the ghosts or whatever you want to think of. And so
trying to rile them up.
Yeah. They were just like, it wasn't just like, oh, where are you? Are you here? They were like, we looked up the history of these places beforehand, and they knew the history. They knew some of the people that worked there. So they were directly just kind of like instigating them to come out in that way.
Zach Bagans style.
And so there was a situation with one of the cast members where we had to shut production down because he was saying like, who pushed me? Why is my back burning? What's going on? Where is everybody? Like, we're just like, what? So everybody stopped production. We all met in kind of like the area where there was light, because the entire sawmill is darkness. We have the lights on the little cameras, and that's really it. And they fended for themselves out there. And he's like, my back's burning. And so we had a medic on set, and we pulled off. He was wearing a white tank top, a black shirt, and then he had his like tactical ghost hunting kind of vest on. Took all of that off, and there was 3 big scratch marks on his back. And he was like, what, someone pushed me in there. And we're like, well, there was nobody else in you. None of our production team was around there. But he's like, well, where are these scratches from? And like the medic's looking at them. And of course it was just like odd, and it really spooked a lot of people out. It made him feel extremely uncomfortable. And like, I went to my other producer and I'm like, did we do this? He's like, no, nobody was there. I was like, did you not tell me that we were doing something?
Do this for real?
Yeah.
We were trying to get a good show.
And this person, he's not one to exaggerate. He's not an attention seeker in that way.
Yes, he's absolutely a skeptic. Which is another weird reason to why he would. And also the proof is there, which is really strange. So that situation happened. Of course, it freaked a lot of people out on set. And because of my past knowledge, the 3 scratches are the sign of not evil stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, God damn it. And so We just went out. We took lunch early, and it's like at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, and so everybody's eating lunch. 2 a.m. and I go out there to where this happened by myself with my flashlight because I was like, I don't want any part of this. And I go out there and I apologize to the ghost on their behalf, like an insane person. I'm out there alone. Producer. Yeah, I'm out there alone in the sawmill, and I'm like, I am so sorry for whatever he did. I am not a part of this.
I'm so worried about the production.
I'm just like,
this is going to cost us half a day. Ghosts.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, and
that's
I'm
a good
so
producer.
sorry.
If you're on set and the crew or cast or somebody offends the people on set and you can get kicked off the set, you got to go make nice, whether they're real or ghouls. And you did your job.
No, also, we all know the stories of what happened on Poltergeist, The Exorcist. I'm not doing that. And so I went out and apologized to them, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I came back and I told somebody, and then they got mad at me because they were like, well, you're scaring them away. We need them to come out. I'm like, what is happening right now?
I'm not trying to get Rooster Teeth sued because
what reality am I living in? This is an argument.
It was the craziest
sign an appeance release.
I know. That we were fighting about something that none of us, do we really know?
Yeah.
We don't.
Right.
You know.
Right.
That was
but also,
strange.
what was he expecting?
Which one? The cast member? The one that got
If
scratched?
they were taunting them and they were wanting them to come out, they wanted
Because
an interaction, but he
truly
didn't
is
want a bad one.
No, he truly is a
Okay.
skeptic. So we have some believers and then some that were skeptics, and he was one of them.
That's
which
why
is
they
why
got him. Like, bitch,
Yes,
I'll make
and
you
that's-
believe.
That's one of the reasons why it was so jarring to everybody, because he's not making this up. And even I was in the car ride with them home, and I heard them debriefing about it, and they were going through all these possible scenarios of what could have happened. And he kept saying, he's like, no, I didn't trip and fall. No, this and that. But the freakiest part out of all of this is when, at the end of the night, when we were downloading all the footage and going through, we went back to that moment just to be like, did he trip? Was somebody around? The answer was no. But the audio caught some very weird ringing of an old church bell. That did not happen at all during the production. There was no bell. There was no bell anywhere on site. We talked to the owner of the land. He's like, there's no bell. I'm like, where is this bell coming from?
Ain't been
like,
no
hold for the
bells
bell.
around here for 940 years. Was he like
See? Exactly.
an old man like that?
It was just like this, like ringing. So whenever he was silent, it was just like ding, ding, ding. I'm like, there is no bell. But the audio, it was the most strange experience that I've been through. That was probably the closest thing to I've been like, there's something strange happening here, and I want no part of this right now.
Especially it'd be one thing if you're like, oh, he was wearing a t-shirt and he has these scratches. But if he had on a tank top, a t-shirt, and a vest over it.
Yes.
And
these Max, they went from the top of his back to the bottom, like 3 red marks. It was like,
And his clothes didn't have marks on them?
No, not that we saw. It was like red marks. Like, no, there was no like gashes or slashes on his clothes. No, which is weirder.
Yeah.
So bizarre. Yeah.
Did he leave a believer after that, or still a skeptic?
He definitely, in the car ride home, I think it got to him a little bit. I really do think that just from what they were talking about, he was a little bothered by it. I think that he still considers himself a skeptic, but I think he will always probably bring this incident up as something like, I'm not sure what happened situation.
Yeah.
But it did enough to rattle him, that's for sure.
For sure.
I would rattle
So,
me.
yeah.
I just went on a haunted
just
ghost ship. I
weird.
didn't know it was possible I was going to get scratched. I don't know if I would have gone, but
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
it was weird.
we just went on our first paranormal investigation, and we never felt anything malicious or really much of a presence. But if we had come back with the mark at the devil, that would have been a different story.
Where did you go?
Yeah. So I felt good that I went out and like kept my peace and whatever that may be. I also have my brother is super religious, and sometimes I'm like, is the mere fact that he is praying for me constantly to become a Christian and all this is saving me from these bad things? Who knows? But I'll take it, So
yeah,
Here we are.
It's the South. If someone's like, I'm going to pray for you, I'm like, hey, thanks.
thank you.
Like, whatever. Send
I'll
me a
take
little
the
good stuff.
protection. Please
Right, whatever.
protect.
I'll take
Never
it.
hurts for someone to be thinking nice thoughts about you.
That's what I think for sure.
Something we talk a lot about on our podcast is cultural priming and how you can be conditioned to believe in something because of your pre-existing beliefs. So, for example, Egypt is a lot more like people who live in Egypt are a lot more likely to believe in ghosts or spirits because they're very religious compared to Scandinavian nations where they're not so religious. So the something like sleep paralysis demons, which Jess has experienced. We've talked about how maybe she grew up really Catholic and this was something that conditioned her to believe more this was a thing, and then it caused her to experience more sleep paralysis. But then she'll tell me a story like, yeah, I was getting sleep paralysis and I'm in bed, and then I look down the hallway, and this Jesus statue we have is like crying. And I'm like, well, that's going to do it. If you're sleeping at night and you look down a dark hallway and there's some scary Jesus statue.
Yeah. That's straight out of The Exorcist. That's horrifying.
It was actually
it was imagery.
It was actually melting, and then there was a demonic voice laughing.
Oh,
so
that's worse.
It's
that's worse.
I'm like, yeah, of course you're going to have that.
Yeah. He was melting.
Yeah.
But you're right. We talked about that when we covered Father Gabriel Amort, which I think you covered in one of your exorcism episodes too, but that conditioning to where maybe people have psychological issues, but they think that the exorcism from the priest is going to help. And for him to say, make sure you've gone and seen a psychologist, make sure you've gone and seen a doctor, and then I'll see you. It's like there is a spiritual element that helps make people feel better sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Psychosomatic in a way.
Right. Whether it's a placebo effect or something else. But if it makes you feel better, then
it
bring
made me
on
feel
the
better
exorcism, right?
It made me feel better to apologize to the ghost.
There you go.
So
there you
I
go.
did it.
Did you air the episode?
We did. And I can
watch
find it for you. I don't know if it's on YouTube or if it's
the
still
sleep
behind our
paralysis one?
paywall.
No, the one where he got
Haunter.
scratched. Haunter.
Oh,
I have to double check if it's still behind our paywall. But if not, we can obviously give you logins and you can watch it. But yeah, it was weird, and he's talked about it too on some podcasts and stuff after that. But yeah, it's strange experience. I'll never.
That is.
forget
That's
it.
a good Freaky Friday for sure.
A day in the life of a producer.
Yeah.
Weird
Who
stuff.
knew that was going to be something you could add to your resume?
Yeah.
Demonologist whisperer. Demon whisperer is what you can add to if shit goes down on a set and I need to go in and smooth things over with the other realm. I have the qualifications.
The next time it happens, you're like, I got this. I've done this.
Got it. I know how to do
I
it.
love
Roll
the
up your
idea.
sleeves.
I love the fact that like losing a day of this production is more terrifying than a being haunting us. And Jess is like, no, that can't happen.
This can't. Yeah. And to the point where they got mad at me. Yeah, they were just like, why are you apologizing? We need them to come out. I'm like, that's just I don't know. It's just funny.
I
I'm like,
they
aren't
thought
you
too, like,
skeptics?
yeah, first of all, you're supposed to be skeptic. Second of all, listen, I apologize on my own behalf. It can still fuck with you.
I did. I said,
I'm
this is
trying
about
to
me.
keep myself safe.
Exactly. I did not. I was like, this is protecting me, so you guys can get fucked all you want. So
You're like, here goes. Please watch over me. Fuck everybody else. Fuck that guy and that guy.
I'll be the one sitting in the producer's chair.
Yes.
Please put a protective bubble over me. Everyone else scratch away.
Yep.
Similarly, my husband apologizes to our Google Home because he's afraid of the AI uprising.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so is Heather. So is Heather.
Really?
It's gonna get
she's afraid of the AI uprising. I don't think you've started apologizing to Google Home and Siri yet, though, have you?
I'm very respectful, though. I always say please and thank you.
So does he. And I berate them. I berate
Oh,
them.
yeah. I get in trouble with Siri a lot. The other day I just went, Siri? And then it just said, that's not nice. And I was like, I hadn't even said what I was going to say next. She knew.
Check your tone.
She knows. We have a tumultuous relationship. She knows.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm always like, please don't kill me and my family. And what will the weather be like today? Yeah, I'm already living under the overboard.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, Jess. Well,
it's a great one.
Elyse, what have you got?
Sinisterhood will be right back.
I wish I had a really good story.
I think whatever you say is going to be great.
We love it.
I consider myself more of a skeptic maybe than Jess, but though I do want to believe, I think my fascination is just with visiting purportedly haunted places. So I've done things like ghost tours of New Orleans, and I've been to Houdini's seance room in the Magic Castle and cemeteries.
I want to go to the Magic Castle so bad.
Well, the Houdini seance, maybe this is my story.
Oh yeah.
I haven't done a seance, or for context, if you don't know, in Los Angeles there is a Castle of Magicians. It's a beautiful, very old building where if you are a magician, you can become a member there and perform and visit, and they open it to the public, so you need to kind of be invited by a magician guest. And I know a lot of magicians.
Oh, humble brag.
Wow.
I love that you said it's a castle filled with magicians. And that's what people that are like, I'm going to go to Hollywood thinks it is just castles filled with magicians.
I'm sort of someone that attracts that magician energy.
I love it.
That's your Twitter bio, attracts magician energy.
Yeah. So I've been maybe 5 or 6 times now at this point. And my most recent visit, I was very grateful because a magician that I was a guest of took me into the Houdini seance room, and has said to me maybe I could do a seance there at some point, which I would love to do, and I would love Jessica to come and we do a seance in there.
Yes.
Not actually where his original seance room was. Houdini I relate to because he was very much a skeptic, but then he was friends with people like Arthur Conan Doyle, all of those 1920s spiritualists who were staunch believers, but then Houdini would prank them and he was like, I don't know about this. So they were kind of like,
they'd be like, the table knocked 3 times. And he was like, yes, with this knocker on my foot.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, I thought it was my mom, but thanks. It's fine.
Yeah. But Houdini kind of like me said, I want to believe. And so he and his wife built this seance room, and not at the Magic Castle, but kind of nearby at a nearby hotel rooftop. And they had this agreement that when the first of them died, the other would go and do seances there on their death dates to try to commune with them. And Houdini died on Halloween.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, super fitting. And so his wife, after his death, I believe he died first. And so then she would go and do these seances. And I don't think anything ever came of it. But a lot of what you see in this room at the Magic Castle are his own artifacts and belongings that are there. So I have to believe that there, in this recreation of this room, there's some sort of magical energy there. And then next to the seance room is really cool if you get a chance to go there. It's part of the upstairs dining hall, but this one room where, I forget the name of it, but one of Houdini's rival magicians is who the room was named after. And it had murals and designs related to this magician. And there was a fire in the Magic Castle several years ago. And when the fire happened, it affected this floor. And the story goes that this room that his rival magician was attributed to burnt down. It had all this fire damage, but Houdini's seance room right next to it was totally fine. So the lore in the story is that Houdini kind of working his magic from the beyond, and he kind of in the afterlife sabotaged his rival's name.
Even in the afterlife, he's holding a grudge. I appreciate it.
I don't know if you
grudges don't die.
This.
I might die. My grudge will not.
Never.
Jess and I, we often talk about coming back to haunt each other.
Oh yes,
I've seen it out
all the time. Yeah, but see, that's one of those things where that's where my mind goes. Instead of I don't go to the skeptical route. I'm just like, that's interesting, curious.
Mm-hmm.
His room was just okay. What could I immediately go to just he has something has protected it, or there's interesting.
Right? It's like the energy of his wife coming all the time. Maybe it pushed the fire out. I don't know. That's what my friend called us the other day or last night and was like, hey, this weird thing happened in my house. I was like, it's probably an interdimensional time warp. If you had to ask me. She was like, maybe my smoke alarm battery was going out.
That's always what it is.
Like, maybe I have carbon monoxide poisoning.
That's
Usually
usually
carbon monoxide poisoning.
I mean,
always
get
a time
checked out,
warp.
certainly. Yeah.
No, I love it.
Yeah. Time warp for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so jealous you got to go to the Magic Castle 5 times. Yes.
I don't.
Ever since I found out about it, which I think was from Neil Patrick Harris, because he is very big into magic and is like a main player there. I thought,
He's a magic bigwig.
I've got to get myself in there. He's a main player. Is that what they call themselves? He can go whenever he wants, I guess. I guess you have a standing invitation to go. I got to get in. I got to meet a magician.
I don't know how much pull I have, but maybe if y'all ever come to Los Angeles, we could.
Oh, we're there a lot.
I could see if are you?
Yeah,
Jess,
my brothers live there. Yeah.
Can you imagine if Jess, you come out to LA, we do a 30 Morbid Sinisterhood crossover seance?
Oh my God.
I'll book a flight right now. I'll be on a plane tomorrow. Yeah.
I got the points. I can go. I'll be there. I'll pay cash. I don't even use points. I'll pay cash. That's how much I want to do it. That would be incredible.
A flight attendant.
Yeah. We can film it. It'll be awesome. And we'll use our half skeptical, half, it was definitely, that was Houdini. It'll be great.
Yeah.
In your dynamic, is one of you more skeptical than the other?
Oh, for sure I am. Yes. Yeah. I mean, Heather was like, it's a portal. And I'm like, I think the batteries probably just needed to be replaced. It's like,
okay, that's
immediate jump.
Yeah.
That's me.
I'm usually like, we heard a ghost. And Christy was like, the air conditioner went off. I was like, okay. Well, that really happened. We stayed at the Adolphus Haunted Hotel in Dallas. And I got there first and I heard a sound in the room and I was so afraid. I went downstairs and I was like in the lobby shaking. And then she got there. I was like, you got to come up to the room with me. There's a sound. And she was like, okay. And then we get up there and I was like, I don't even know. And then it happened. I was like, there it is again. And she was like, the heater came on. And I was like, oh. Well, it's haunted as fuck. It's a haunted heater is what I can tell you. That is a sinister heater.
Elyse has actually helped me throughout our podcast to be less afraid and less thinking always that it's some supernatural thing. There was one thing that she told me maybe a year ago, months ago, where it really clicked with me, especially at night, especially when I woke up in the middle of the night the other day after watching Talk to Me. Anyway, where she was like, you could just like not believe in it. And I was like, yeah, I could just make the choice. I'm going to say
something Regina George would say in Mean Girls. We just not believe in it.
Just not be that way.
But I think about it. I'm like, in this moment when I'm feeling it, I'm like, no, that's not real. Go back to bed, bitch. And so I'm like,
my power from you.
Okay.
Do you ever have that moment when it's like 2 a.m. and you hear a noise downstairs? Could be somebody breaking into your home, a Frogger who's escaped from the walls.
Yep.
And then you think, I should go downstairs and check that. And then you go, nah.
Yeah.
And then you
it's nothing.
Sleep.
Yeah, I'm usually like, if it's a Frogger, I hadn't noticed by now, they're being considerate and conscientious. Who am I to kick somebody out? As long as you're not eating up like the last of my bagel, and I was really excited for that bagel in the morning. In that case, I will tear holes in every wall and I will find you and I will throw you out. But if it's like, I don't even notice.
Imagine a Frogger who's doing chore, like changing the toilet paper roll.
I would love that. I'd love someone to help with some cleaning. If they could just come out like while we're sleeping and clean quietly. And I wake up to a clean house. I'm here for it. Live in my walls all you like.
We have a Frogger episode.
I don't have to clean a toilet. That is fine.
Yeah, like you do your thing. I'll do mine. I'm going to go to sleep. Full vibe.
Yeah, that's fine.
But you're right.
That's fine.
We were talking about going on our paranormal investigation. Tommy unfortunately couldn't go. And we were like, we're going to be so afraid without you. What are we going to do? And he goes, well, there's no evidence at all that ghosts are real. So you'll probably be okay with that.
That's what I think about. That's what, like, Elyse, that thing she said, I'm just like, I just have to think about those things. Well, it's not real, so you'll be fine. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think one thing that you, Jess, conversely, make me feel like it's okay to fucking lighten up a little bit and have fun. And,
well, there's like having fun, and then there's also like, do you really believe in this? It's affecting my sleep quality at night situation, which back in the day it did. Like I would, if I woke up at 3 a.m. or something, and I'd always remember, the exorcism of Emily Rose, 3 a.m. Her backwards.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's going to happen to me.
Yeah. Dude, if it happened to me and it got my back cracked, I didn't have to go to the chiropractor. I'd be like, you show up at 3, I'll be ready. I'll be awake then. Let me put on stretchy pants. But
the demon's like, oh God, Heather wants her back cracked again.
I'm like, can you focus on the lumbar portion? I've been sitting wrong.
Yeah. Can you give me one of those magic hugs like I see that chiropractor on TikTok do?
Yes.
I am this close to booking a flight also to California to get him to just pop my whole head.
Speaking of like demons, Elyse, we did a sketch years ago where Elyse plays a demon in it with the Necronomicon. We'll send it to you.
Yeah, well, it's a sketch where we're a bunch of women gathering for a book club, but the book we chose that week is the Necronomicon.
I'm looking at a copy right now. It's literally across from me.
We're all like, it's a lot darker than I thought it was.
That's great.
And
that's a great premise.
We all slowly start to Jess becomes more possessed, and I become.
It's so great though, because it's
perfect.
We'll send it to you. It's
very
ridiculous.
Yes, please. That's a great concept.
You asked about skepticism. One of my favorite things about this whole show from start to finish is Christy started off pretty skeptical, but
I think I've gotten less. I think I've become more open-minded and spiritual.
But if you ask about aliens, especially in the ocean.
Oh, those are real. And I don't even think that we need to lump them into the same category as something that a skeptic would talk about, because I went on a rant to Tommy the other night. I was like, it's not just possible, it's probable. There's 100% aliens are living in a base under the oceans, and they come up and check on us every now and then. And sometimes they help us out or do stuff. It's it makes sense. And then
aliens are real.
The missing link between evolutionarily, how did we get from point A to point B with such a big jump? Maybe an alien had sex with the monkey, and then we're all part alien. I'm just spitballing some ideas.
No, I mean, the universe is so vast. Of course, to think that we are the only ones is naive in a way. Like there's yeah.
I always think about how it's more scary, the thought of there being no life out there than there being life out there.
That's a good point. I said the same thing recently, because when we were on our ghost hunt at our Airbnb at night, because we weren't scared enough, we binged Encounters on Netflix, which is just shows of and it was great because it's very well done, and everyone that speaks is very credible, and all the stories are very believable. But I also found comfort in that like there's something else that's tangible, I think, not just like an energy. And I do believe in like a bigger energy force, but like a tangible thing that lives somewhere. And
it's got to.
Why wouldn't they? We've explored 5% of the ocean. We don't know what's down there.
There's so much.
Oh, yeah,
there's so much. Well, we asked the director of Aerial Phenomenon, Randall Nickerson, that's about the Rua Zimbabwe. If you haven't watched that, there was that documentary, and then in Encounters, they cover it in the second episode. And there's like more of a skeptical view from one of the students that kind of didn't see it and kind of claims he made it up. But talking to Randall, we were like, we think maybe they're under the ocean. He was like, yeah, that's likely. We're like, what? He went to the congressional hearings, and he's like spoken to a ton of survivors, or not even survivors. He calls them witnesses, because it's not even like, oh, they're believers and they want to make this up. It's just people that are telling you what they saw. And they're like, this is what I saw. I don't know what it was. And you talked about kind of the cultural conditioning. And in Zimbabwe, when they talked to some of the local religious leaders who were like, oh yeah, they come and visit us all the time. Like, this is part of our culture that they come and visit children often. And it was like, oh, well, who are we to say, nuh-uh.
And then when you look back through, thousands of years of their history, there's writings and drawings and things that are all what they at the time would probably call like aliens or angels or gods, but now maybe I think we're all kind of using the same, talking about the same thing, but regionally, and depending where you're from, it's called something else. Like with the Welsh story that was also on Encounters, and they refer to them as fairies, and like how fairies were demonic in our culture and kind of mischievous and evil. And then Hollywood is what kind of made the Tinkerbell fairy. That's this little thing, but they weren't always like that. And then they got a big old rock out there in the middle of the ocean, and I think it's a portal to a base underground.
I think it's gonna.
I'm just gonna say it. I think it comes apart. And
people said they saw it open.
Heather and I was like, what we have to do is like get a long-term rental Airbnb at this place, and just every night we sit outside and watch, and eventually I think we'll see something.
We'll see it open.
At this point, I'm open. I don't even know anymore. There's been so much crazy shit that's happened. I'm like, I'm open and will believe anything at this point. Like, what? What is happening?
Isn't there like the analogy of how much of our universe we've explored? And it's like, if you held up a glass of water and you said, well, you were comparing it to how much of the ocean we've explored, and you held up a glass of water and said, that's how much of the ocean we've explored compared to the universe. Like,
yeah. And you're like, oh, there's no animals or sea life in here. And you're like, well, there's such a thing as a blue whale. And you're looking at a mason jar.
Yeah.
So of course you don't see an octopus or an umbrella squid or whatever. It's like, you're not going to see those big ass
umbrella squid. Is that a thing?
I think so. Yeah, it's creepy.
I've never heard of an umbrella squid. I mean, you look at those and you're like, these look like aliens.
Yeah, shit under
like
deep
octopus and everything. I don't know what those things are. Tommy says all the time, this world isn't ours. Like, you can walk outside and just look at any of the like bugs and just your backyard, like all the things living and crawling around. And you're like, this isn't our Earth. We're just like one of the many things on it. And we just happen to have conscience that allows us to think that we are better than everything else.
We ate fat one day. We cooked fat, started walking on two legs, and we're like, that was
and
it.
Then we just thought we knew everything. Yeah,
we were hot shit, as my mother would say. Thought she was hot shit. Oh, that's evolution for you. You cook fat, walk on two legs, you think you're hot shit all of a sudden.
All of a sudden you realize the aliens have been down underwater this whole time. Makes sense. Why are they gray? They have a vitamin D deficiency. That's why they always are going to like dairy farms and taking cows. I think it's a vitamin D thing. Tommy the other day, he just looked at me and he went, so he was like, they need milk. I was like, yeah, they need milk because that's why they're great. They have a vitamin D deficiency. That's why they go to dairy farms a lot or take the cows. Cause I think they're trying to figure out how can they manufacture it on their own.
They're trying to
or maybe they have a bunch of cows and they just now have cows. Underwater cows.
Jess and Elyse are like, so we talked to Sinisterhood today. It was great. The last half hour was just, they yelled at aliens. It was a Bradley conspiracy that was for like a half hour, but it's fine.
You don't know, but Jess right now I can tell, I can see her thinking she's considering leaving our podcast and joining yours because she loves alien stuff so much.
Oh, me too.
We soon are doing our first alien episode on the show. We're talking about the Dark Forest theory because we've just never, aliens is so massive as a topic, and we've just never honed in on like what's the specific what is a specific part of it we can talk about, because in 30 minutes we can't do it justice. But Jess, do you want to talk about your fascination and obsession?
No, I just think I watch a lot of space documentaries. I'm fascinated by space and time. And like the very first time I ever watched the first episode, I was high. And I just watched them like zoom out. It is the best, but it just like zooms out. And then, at the end, Neil deGrasse Tyson is like, this is the cosmos. And I had a panic attack. I'm like, what? This is insane.
Where are we?
Cosmos? What? This is so big. Like it's just, and then when
you figure out we're like going and also rocketing, like Christy and I had to learn this, and Tommy and Paris were like, I don't know. We're just like a corkscrew that goes through space. I'm like, where'd you learn that? YouTube. Okay, well, we'll spend more time on YouTube, I guess. We didn't know that.
16-year-old with a webcam told me about it.
I thought it was like a mobile over a baby bed situation. Turns out it's like someone's got a hold of that mobile and is sprinting. It's just running.
It's wild. It's wild. We all don't fly off of it.
Sinisterhood will be right back.
It's wild. And they're just, and to Elyse's point, though, it is even scarier to think like if there is no other life out there. So other life is just, again, like aliens to us. But again, being raised religious, it's so crazy to think that like I was raised to think like, no, this is it. And like, us humans, we are not. We have to get out of our own brains sometimes because there is
we don't even know
so much more out there. We could get, but even talking about like antimatter and matter and like what came before the Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
It was very cold, dark space, but nothing comes from nothing, but there had to be some sort of material. And so I go down the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah.
Did you see the
it's
news
like you're
about
in
that?
my brain right now.
Yeah.
Did you see that asteroid they cracked open and they were like, there's water in it. It's like 1 billion years old. And we think that's what made Earth. Anyway, we cracked it open. I was like, what is the fucking egg? You're like, there's chocolate inside.
Anyways, here it is.
Announced it, like drop it in the news. Like, anyways, that's where that came from. Like, who threw the rock at us that had the stuff in it that made us?
We need to talk
answers.
about this. Yeah. Biden needs to address this. What is going on right now? Like, what?
Yeah. I think he has bigger problems he's currently dealing with.
Yes.
Isn't it interesting though? Isn't it interesting too though that like you said you're raised very Catholic and so angels and demons and things were part of your upbringing and were just accepted. Those same people a lot of times refuse to accept the idea of aliens because it kind of contradicts their idea of how everything was created. But in encounters, they talk so much about like, if you can, you can hold both those truths. Like if you can believe in angels and demons, then it's not a huge stretch to believe in like that there's another life form out there, but there's still like a wall for so many people that those two things can't come together.
Jesus was a time traveler. We all know this. All right. He's a time lord.
Hey.
And the angels back then were a spaceship. I'm not wrong.
I pitched the idea the other day that maybe an alien impregnated Mary. And that's why we all thought it was like immaculate conception. And that's why Jesus was so like benevolent and essentially magic is because he was half alien. And then now we got a half alien, half human. And ipso facto, as some people have a little more alien in them than others, like Taylor
These
Swift,
are the conversations
Beyonce.
we need to be
She wrote a
having
song
right
about
now.
it called Alien Superstar. She's telling us. She told
knows.
us.
If you think Jesus was a Promethean, like a Ridley Scott,
Certainly.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's just,
I don't hate it.
It's tossing it around. It's nothing, I'm just speculating.
This whole Jehovah's Witness for the past 3 episodes, a lot of the people in charge are like, God told me this. And I'm like, when I have these ideas, how do I know it ain't just God telling me like, Jesus was a time traveler? And if I was like, shut up, brain, before I stab you with a Q-tip, it's like, no, that wasn't your brain. It was God. And I sound like your old neighbor. Jesus was a time traveler. Okay, well, I'll tell the world. I'll spread the message. That's how like
you ever worried like, oh, we'll do this 3-episode Jehovah Witness series, and then you come out on the other side and you're like, that Jehovah had some okay ideas. You're worried that you'll indoctrinate yourself.
With this one. No, not with this one.
The Urantia cult, which was like kind of almost what we're describing, which was like Jesus was an alien, came to Earth. That's like the Urantia book. We jokingly are like, oh, ha, ha, ha. But I don't think, but yeah, the Jehovah's Witness one is like, men are always correct and do what men say. And we're like, nope, that's not right. In my experience.
No.
Yeah,
almost never.
That was a rough one. But we have covered some that have more like happy thoughts that were like,
I can get sucked into a cult. I did kind of a little bit. So yeah.
Heather unknowingly followed the guy from Wild Country for like a year before she
I don't know who that is.
This book with these like Rajneeshpuram from like the people in Oregon who took over the town and then like poisoned the salad bar and tried to kill the I think the assistant U.S. attorney, they tried to assassinate them.
Oh my God.
And it was this cult. And after the cult ended, the guy rebranded and changed his name. Anyway, I never watched Wild Country and I didn't know that this was the rebranded name. And I got this deck with this book and I was like, this meditation book is so good. I told like 5 people about it. And then for no reason, like a year and some change later, I looked it up and I was like, this is the cult guy. And I've given this as gifts to many people. The problem was it was really good.
To be fair, it was kind of his right-hand woman that did all the dirty work. And he, but like all good leaders, you kind of know what's going on. You kind of know Andrew Fly now, all guy.
Yeah, it's like a Keith Raniere, Allison Mack situation, but yeah, I accidentally followed that. So yeah, to answer your question, I can, Christy, no, but I can get sucked into
if an alien came to me right now and was like, do you want to join our cult? Yes. Bye, kids. I'm sorry. Maybe you can come with me.
There are so many things that we are part of and indoctrinated to that are down low cults that we're just not putting the name to.
Oh, yeah.
So,
every day.
For sure.
Yeah.
Somebody recently posted on our Patreon Facebook group, like, name a cult that doesn't call themselves a cult. And it was like CrossFit, improv.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah. Like, all, any of that stuff could be.
Who said Trader Joe's? Elyse?
Trader Joe's.
They've got a podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But improv all the time because we've done it. We did it for everybody always called it a cult.
Close being this deity.
Yes. Yeah.
They're like, my herald. I know my herald.
Oh my God. When they start going off, I'm like, I know.
Del Close was also a huge piece of shit. So he gave us the Herald, so wasn't that worth it?
It was worth it. This conversation was worth it. God, we had so much fun with y'all.
Oh my God.
Offline, we're going to figure out this Houdini seance.
I want to do this. Yes, for sure.
Please come on our podcast.
Yes.
Oh, we'd love to.
We would love to. But the paranormal investigation we just went on 2 years ago, this investigative group gave us a tour and mentioned offhanded, hey, if we ever did like an overnight on this ship, would you go? And we were like, tell us the date, we'll be there. And then 2 years later, it was like, hey, it's time. And we're like, we booked our flights. Yeah. So tell us when the seance is. We will book our flights. Like, we'll show up.
Okay. Let's talk about it. I mean, Jess and I haven't really talked about it because I didn't want to, I wanted to feel like I had something more concrete before I told you about it, but
here it is.
I think going into
might be able to make it happen.
I've never done a seance, and I've always wanted to do a seance, and to do one in Houdini's room.
That's the pinnacle.
As long as nothing follows me past that room, then I'm good. I don't want to know it follow situation, so I'll do it there. But if it follows me, I'm going to ask it to now follow Elyse.
Oh yeah, 100%. I will be the vessel for the spirit.
I feel like if Houdini's room can survive fire at the Magic Castle, it can keep us all safe from any demonic forces.
Okay, great.
I believe in Houdini.
What we do is we screen that episode of Haunter, and we're like, hey, this is the one where Jess was like very apologetic, so we know that she can do this. And then anything in that room's like, she's a good one. She's good. We don't attach to her.
It's so funny that in these like desperate times, I resort to like, please God, save me. I'm praying right now. It's just like whatever comes to me, like God, universe, Jesus, the sun.
Help me, baby Jesus. Help me, Tom Cruise.
Something. Help.
I really do want you to become like the Hollywood ghost whisperer that gets brought on, like Heather was saying, like gets brought on sets, and like the crafties floating on season 86 of The Bachelorette. Because it's possessed, and we need you to come in and depossess craft services.
Pivot to make that the show. Because The Bachelor, we've all seen The Bachelorette. Yeah. Like if the Haunted Bachelorette, I'll watch. I'll tune in.
Oh man.
Exorcising the demons of the Haunted Bachelorette was
It's like 20 possessed women and a priest. And it's like who the priest like gives a crucifix to, like you get a crucifix this episode. You get a crucifix.
The priest is like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to live the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I wish
the downside is only one person gets rid of their demon. The other 19 have to live with it, but you got to prove yourself to the priest that you're the one worthy of exorcism.
Yeah. Like, man. Joanne, will you accept this blessing?
I will.
Oh my God, Elyse. Lord.
Oh my God.
I think you just wrote another sketch.
Instead of a beautiful mansion, it's like this insane haunted house, like the Addams Family set. It'd be great. And this would be so funny.
You rang. Well, the host isn't like, hey, I'm Ryan, whatever. I'm the host. It's like Lurch, like, welcome. It's very slow.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I
can't
am
wait.
successful, blah, 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 blah. Speaking in tongues. Jess, sorry.
Yeah,
Jess, it's part of it.
It's coming to
the
you.
talking head, she's like, upside down like Emily Rose.
the confessional.
Yeah. Confessional, that's what it is.
I can't wait for the episode where they take everyone to their hometown and then all their families are like, yeah, we've been dealing with this possession for a while. Just trying to have dinner.
At 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Screaming
yeah.
every
night. But the confessional would be a real confessional.
Yes.
Oh,
perfect. Oh my God. Y'all work at Rooster Teeth. You can make this happen.
Writes itself.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We would just ask, can we be bachelorettes in the sketch?
Oh, I would love to. Yes, please.
For sure.
Oh man, what a hoot. Well, where can people find more 30 Morbid Minutes and more stuff that both of you all do?
They can find our podcast wherever you find your podcast. We're also on social media. We're trying to up our social media game here. So we're on TikTok and Instagram at 30 Morbid Minutes. And then we also have our individual handles. Mine is at Jessica Vasami 1 on Instagram and Elyse.
And then Elyse Willems on Instagram. Nice. And I don't really go on the X anymore.
I don't.
I also refuse to call it that. I will never, because I don't understand how to use it. If you're like, I'm going to tweet something, that makes sense. But what is the equivalent? X? Is it still called a tweet if it's not Twitter? Are you Xing?
Anywhere you see it mentioned, it's always X parentheses Twitter.
Formerly known as Twitter. I'm like, if you have to put that every time, then just call it Twitter still.
It was a bad brand move. Yeah, earlier I said your Twitter bio. What was I going to go? It's your X bio.
Weird. Sounds like something sexy.
Yeah.
Well, bio.
No one said Elon Musk was typical. No one's ever said that of him or anything good.
What a time we've had with you all today.
This is great. Thank you so much for having us. You guys are great.
You were both wonderful.
Oh,
great.
Y'all were wonderful.
Haunted seance at the Houdini place, coming on the show, being in a Exorcist Bachelorette, whatever you want, we'll be there because y'all. Do it. Man, this was fun.
This was great.
And please,
absolutely.
Please come on 30 Morbid Minutes.
Yes,
absolutely.
Talk about whatever you want.
Talk about what
it'll probably just be. We'll put a pause on this, and then we'll just keep this conversation going on your show.
I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
Thank y'all.
Thank
you so much, Jessica.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Well, thank you so much again to Jessica and Elyse for telling us your incredible stories today. We had so much fun talking to you all. If you have an odd but true story, maybe you've encountered Bigfoot, you've seen a UFO, you had a brush with true crime, or you felt the presence of an otherworldly being, send them in at sinisterhood.com/Freaky Friday. If you like our free episodes, you'll love our Patreon bonus content. We got so much stuff going on over there. I think just in the past week, we've posted a mini-sode about a harrowing tale of a woman that survived being held hostage by a serial killer. We've got an Am I the Asshole up. We've got a Judge Christie up. We've got, we're going to be recording a new thing tomorrow that we'll be putting up.
True crime headlines on the Natalie Holloway case. So people have been asking us to talk about that. So we're ready. So that'll be up pretty quick here. So keep your eyes peeled for some more Patreon content, and go to our YouTube. You can check out a clip from that Q&A we did if you want to see my corn skull outfit and Christy's very epic deep cut Sinisterhood reference. I'm gonna let y'all go and see if you know the reference. But it also has a little behind the scenes clip from whenever she saw my costume for the first time, which was very fun. I was like, I heard the doorbell ring and I thought, I'm gonna pull my phone out because I think she might laugh super hard if when she sees this. What if you would have walked around the corner and went, okay, you ready to start the live stream? I would have been like, yeah, it's fine.
Hey, what are you doing? Wait, let's just start.
She's like, Heather always dresses like that. What? No, so anyways, but yeah, go to our YouTube and watch that video, and you can also watch the whole live stream over on Patreon as well.
Yeah, we also, for our patrons that kind of just subscribe for free to see what we're up to, we posted that clip for them as well. So we do little freebies from time to time for if you're just following along to see, like, if you want alerts sent to you and whatnot when we post stuff.
For sure. Just see what like you said, what we're up to next. But you can also head over to sinisterhood.com and click shop on the top banner to check out Sinisterhood merch. We got t-shirts, mugs, totes, stickers, and even clothes for your kiddos. It's getting to be that time where you got to shop for somebody in your life and you're like, well, I don't know. She likes podcasts, I guess. But bam, Sinisterhood merch. It's the greatest gift that you can give. And it's also a good thing to give for yourself because you're like, I got to wrap presents for all these jerks. I'm going to do it in the coziest crew neck sweater I've ever had in my life. So head to sinisterhood.com and click shop and treat yourself today.
And if you order from TikTok,
oh yeah,
you get free shipping in the US. So, I mean, girl math, you would be losing money if you did not order something. And then you get to see all of our amazing TikToks that Paris makes for us.
For sure. And also TikTok, I don't know how it works. Tommy and Paris have helped us with all that part, but random items will be on sale or like have free shipping, and I'll log in so it changes. So go to our TikTok and see if there's a deal for you. So check there first. TikTok.com/Sinisterhood Podcast.
You can also review the show at Sinisterhood.com, follow us on socials, and check out the episode descriptions of each show for more fun. And we list all of our sources there. And we also have links to playlists. Heather's curated great topic-based playlists on Spotify. So if you have someone that you're like, I just want to hear about cryptids, we've got you. I just want to hear about paranormal stuff or true crime. You can go there, and we've sorted it all out to make it really easy for everyone.
It's a good way to share too. If your friend's like, I'm not trying, it's too heavy true crime right now. Or like, I don't care about the paranormal stuff. I want to hear about trials. We've got you right there at Sinisterhood.com/playlist. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SinisterhoodPod, and like us on Facebook at Sinisterhood. The video version of our interview with Elyse and Jess, as well as all of our other Freaky Friday interviews, and that bonus clip is on our YouTube channel at Sinisterhood Podcast, TikTok, and the TikTok shop, also at Sinisterhood Podcast. And speaking of gifts for the holidays, don't forget we have a Cameo. Cameo is a great, fast, easy way to get a gift if it's like coming up on somebody's birthday, anniversary, something, or if you're trying to get something extra special for the holidays that somebody already has stuff. They have materials. I don't need anything extra. Something like a message from us might be a fun gift. So go to Cameo and book your custom personal video shout out today. Where are you at on the internet?
You can see my regular face and then my old woman face, or maybe you don't notice a difference. That's on Instagram at Christy M. Wallace, and I'm on TikTok at Christy or GTFO. Heather, where's your corn skull?
Well, my corn, you can find all the corn tint you're looking for at Heather versus the World on all
Were
platforms.
you sitting on that, or was that off the cuff?
Just came out of me.
Nice.
I was like, you can find all that. And I was like, a cornucopia, but don't think, just speak. And it just came out. That's the advice. Heather McKinney, don't think, just talk.
Gosh, you and Gwen Stefani, you both have a similar message. Don't speak, just say what you're thinking. You never know what'll come out your mouth. It may be something funnier than you thought you were gonna say to begin with. Don't speak. That is the B cut from
remix.
No Doubt. That's on the B side of that album.
She was like, it's from the vault, Christy's version.
Ooh, I just got my 1989 vinyl today.
Shut up.
I got the blue one. But I also found out Tommy ordered me one, and it's the green one. He didn't know I'd already ordered it, so I'm going to have blue and green. And you got pink?
I got pink, and then I went to Target and bought tangerine because there's an extra song on it. So I got tangerine.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to do that.
That didn't hit the same. She changed it. It's fine. No worries. She didn't take my
dream.
No, that's true. Maybe it's Tangerine Dream. This has gone completely off the rails.
It really has. Yeah.
Welcome to the quarter 4 with Sinisterhood. Q4 2024. Shit's wheels off. Oh, man.
Oh, well, as always, the devil rules the airwaves.
Keep it creepy.
Sinisterhood.